is.
Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Bonsoir, mes amis. It's Andrew Berkshire here with Game Over Montreal, and I'm here with Kay Imam, who was here as a surprise originally when I scheduled this stream. We didn't know Kay was going to be here, but hey, why not double up and have double the fun for a game that was the most fun, boring game of all time?
Yeah. The vibes were wild. It was somehow so slow and so fast and so exciting but so boring, and it's truly like I somehow forget how much I hate watching the New Jersey Devils play hockey. Even
Yeah.
every single iteration of them. Every single iteration of them, I do not care how many good players they have. It just somehow still ends up being annoying hockey.
Yeah, it's not, they're not my favorite team to watch, to be honest. I've been to that arena. It's a weird arena.
Yeah.
I saw a game there in the fire and ice section, which is basically like all you can eat high end buffet and leather seats. It's really strange. It's like a arena made for luxury. It doesn't feel like a hockey arena. It's weird, but
It's really
I digress. We've got lots to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the vibes in this game. Apparently, our boy Jakub Dobeš has taken this one to heart, which
really
we
hard.
will chat about. He shouldn't have to shoulder that. It's his first loss of the season. We're going to talk about Kirby Doc and Joe Veleno, kind of two players going in different directions. And Caden Gooley was skating this morning, Kay. I think we're all happy about that. I think the penalty kill will be especially happy about that. And maybe, as Kay mentioned before the show started, Mike Matheson might be the most happy about Caden Gooley being closer to return. But I also wrote an article about him that's going to come out on Habs Eyes on the Prize shortly. So I want to key that up a little
Very
bit
excited.
and
Yeah.
talk about what Caden Gooley actually is and what he's going to be for the Montreal Canadiens. But before we get too deep into it, we got to talk to you about our partners. The first of which is Inchu Bijou, who is a fantastic store here in Montreal that, yes, they're primarily a jewelry store, but they're much more than that. They also have a golf shop there where they have everything from like stickers to board games to radioactive glassware. Seriously, it's the coolest, weirdest shop in the city of Montreal. You have to check it out. So check it out. They're our partners. At the famous chateau at 4000 Rue Saint Ambroise lies one of Montreal's coolest secrets, a glamorous Gothic jewelry store owned and run by women. Inchu Bijou isn't just a business. They've built a community that supports bold creativity and expression. When I was first introduced to founder Astrida Pisigomian's shop, I was floored by the detail, vision, and scale of what she's built from her own mind. I don't think anyone would call me goth, but I know an innovator when I see one. Along with building their own business, Inchu Bijou also hosts markets for vendors in their space called Marché Maleficarum, boosting their whole community. If you don't live in Montreal, explore inchubijou.com, where you'll find over 800 designs that range from affordable to bespoke. Check out Inchu Bijou right now, a Game Over partner from the beginning. Welcome back to Game Over Montreal. I am Andrew Berkshire. I'm here with Kay Imam. And if you really like this show, make sure you smash like on this video and hit subscribe. It really helps us out. And if you really, really like us, well, we've got a Patreon link in this page that you're watching on YouTube Live, or if you're watching on a replay, or if you're listening on the podcast. In the description, you can find that link and you can check us out and throw us a couple bucks here and there and help us get things going here in this company. All right, so Kay, the vibes in this one, as we mentioned, were a bit strange.
Just odd.
It was like a boring game that was punctuated by extreme excitement.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't like the Devils in general, but I do think the Devils for the last couple of seasons have been like a glimpse in a way into the future for the Montreal Canadiens, and that I think the
Hmm.
Canadiens are building a very similar team structure.
Yeah.
However, maybe this is
A lot.
controversial. While the Devils are currently ahead in their like developmental path as a team of the Canadiens, in my opinion, I think the Canadiens are going to be better.
Mm, interesting. I
I
think,
don't think the Devils have the horses on the back end.
okay, that's what I was wondering about. Because I was like, I think despite how much I don't like him and his vibes, uh, Jack Hughes is a very good player.
Oh
Nico
yeah.
is a very good 200 feet player. Um, and So they have what they need up at forward, but you're right. I don't really think the defense is necessarily working out. I don't know what's happening with Nemec, I think, uh, and it's 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 interesting to watch. But I did, as I was watching them, I was thinking, man, this is the kind of fast hockey I like to watch, and I think this is the kind of fast hockey that ultimately the Habs would like to play.
Yeah, very much. And I think that's the exciting part of this one, right? It was when both teams were going, like the chances were pretty crazy. But overall, I would have liked to see the Canadians push a little bit harder in the first 40 minutes. I thought they came out really strong in the third period, and I know they didn't exactly get the advantages in terms of calls. And I see some frustration in the chat. I feel like we don't have it set down that we're going to talk about Newhook in this show, so let's get it out of the way right away. I feel like there's a little bit too much frustration around this player and that play in particular.
Hmm.
Because I think if that play were on the other side of the ice and it was a Canadians player instead of Timo Meier reaching in with the free hand and twisting Newhook, I think it would have got called a hold. And that's what happened. It wasn't that Newhook just like blindly threw a pass to the middle. It was that his spin was slowed down by the free hand of Meier, and then he lost the puck because he was pulled. Like, let's
To
call
me,
a spade
it's
here.
kind of sure. Like I'm not. That's not something I honestly really was paying much attention to. But I guess to me, it's more of a philosophical question there, where it's Alex Newhook has been doing a lot offensively, and I understand that whatever decision he made there might have been the wrong one, but it's paid off in the past. So I see why he would want to make a decision that's a little riskier. Or sometimes, guess what? If you have the puck on your stick, you're gonna give it away sometimes. That's just how having the puck works. I fear that is just how having the puck works.
It is. The more you have it, the more you're going to give it away just by virtue of odds, right?
Worship
Outrage
numbers.
in the outrage in the chat says if we threw away every player that did some dumbish, we'd only have Suzuki. But you know what? Suzuki fell asleep on a goal tonight. Like
I think so.
he stopped playing. He was puck watching on I think the Devils' second goal. So everybody makes mistakes. And overall, I think the takeaway with Newhook this season should be he's given value beyond what anybody should be expecting from Alex Newhook. Like that line has been pretty darn solid. He's been putting up really strong offense, and he hasn't been terrible defensively by any stretch. Like the odd turnover is going to happen in 3-on-3 overtime. I don't think it's something to really get upset about. And I understand the frustration of losing a couple after the Canadians have won so many, but they're still racking up points here. So if you're going to
And it's
lose
gonna
these
happen
games,
eventually.
yeah,
And listen, I want to get to. I understand that the blown leads are a problem. We are not trading him to Anaheim. Uh, understand that I understand that the
you got to
Habs
put the
blown leads.
context on there
Listen,
for the listeners.
sorry, there is saltwater think tank in the chat saying Game Over Network turning on Suzuki and trade him to Anaheim. So that is not
We would
just
never.
just out of the corner of my eye. I saw that and I had to address it. But yeah, to go back to them blowing a lead, that has been a problem. I'm not going to deny that. That's been a consistent issue. I don't think today's game was necessarily the best example of that. First of all, the fact that they had to fight back so late, right? Like they didn't hold the lead as long as they usually do as they are giving it up, right? Usually it's they have a multiple goal lead and they give them up one by one by one by one, right? That's a different it's different, right? Not positively different, but it's different. And then that last play was just terrible luck. Mike Matheson goes down. He can't seem to. He goes down to the point that I'm like, he might need a therapy day or two coming up. It doesn't look good. And then it's just a scrambly play, right? Like Dobeš is just doing his best. There's so many guys on him. To me, that's just not the same as the other blown leads. Now, could they have lost it by themselves? Maybe. But at that point, we'd seen two really good penalty kills. Two one of them a little bit soft, maybe, but penalty kills that they Jake Evans did his thing, right? Which banger of a goal, by which I mean Markstrom's okay. Um, but yeah, my point being, I just don't think it's the same thing. So I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, and I'm going to point out Romelli in the chat here is saying similar, agreeing with Kay, saying they played extremely well with the lead tonight. Tonight's game was not a case of blowing a lead. And I'm with you guys, because as Romelli also points out, the Canadians allowed one shot on goal in the previous 10 minutes before the tying goal. So Kapanen took the lead on that rebound shot at 10:33 of the third period. 10:33 in the third period. Until there was, I think, around 2 minutes, 10 seconds left, the Canadians held the Devils in their own zone for like
Mm-hmm.
6 straight minutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were playing incredible hockey. I thought it was the best they played the entire game. Was after they took
I
that lead,
agree.
they looked incredibly confident and like
Here.
they owned it. And then, a couple things go against you. And New Jersey's a legit good high talent team that can score in those situations. So like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things are just going to happen that way. And 3-on-3 overtime, as much as the Canadians are built for it, so are the Devils.
The same. And I'm looking at some of the numbers here, by the way. I don't know how accurate the NHL, like just NHL's numbers are usually, the website, but they've got 6 takeaways by the Habs to versus 2 takeaways by the Devils, right? Like it's not, I I don't want to sound like a homer by saying that I think they played like great, because I don't think they did. But I just think that this is going to be a game that looks a lot worse than it was. If you're just,
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally agree with you. And the weird thing is the third period actually evened things up a lot more than it looks like on the total shot clock, because a few things to put this game in context, right? For starters, the power plays were out of whack. Like, yeah, New
Mhm,
Jersey was owning the puck. I agree. Maybe they probably should have got more power plays in general than the Canadians. Not 4 times the power play time.
mhm.
And the Canadians were really heroic on the penalty kill. Like the Devils in that 8 minutes and 20 seconds, according to Natural Stat Trick, got 0 high danger chances and only 0.33 expected goals for in 8 minutes of power play time. Overall,
Yeah,
despite the Canadians being outshot in all situations and at 5-on-5, they actually led the Devils in high danger chances, tied them in scoring chances, led in expected goals. They controlled 59% at 5-on-5 and 54% overall, despite the extreme uh, gap in
yeah.
power play time. So, like, yeah, territorially, this game didn't look good, but I think this was actually a game where the takeaway for the Canadians should be that was an incredible defensive performance against a
Mm,
very talented team.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, listen, when the game started, my first thought on it was great news. They're active offensively, but they're not being very active defensively right now. But I think as the game went on, they got better at that. I think again, we have to give the penalty kill a lot of credit here. Um, they did a lot there, lots of block shots, lots of just being aggressive, and I or picking your spots for being aggressive. Usually what I like in a penalty kill is just aggressive, right? Just uno reverse it, right? But with a team like the Devils, where there is that amount of forward talent, you have to pick your spots. And I think they did that really well. Um, a very good, well, I guess not quietly because he scored a goal, but the last few games in general, I think quietly have been great games for Jake Evans, which is saying something because of the fact that Joe Beleno has been on his line and he hasn't always been helping.
And
I'll
we're going
put
to
it
talk
that.
about Joe
We'll
Valeno
put
coming
that
up
later.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him and Doc in a couple of minutes here. But before we close out this first segment and hear from another one of our partners, Le Saint Motel, I wanted to quickly mention something that I saw in the chat earlier, which was this was a big bounce back game for Matheson and Dobson. Dobson
Hmm.
specifically, who I think has struggled more than Matheson has the last couple of games. But there has been a short stretch here where that pairing, which has been lights out, has looked a little bit more sloppy.
Hmm.
Tonight was a return to form, and that's really good news.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Uh, I think it makes sense, right? A pairing that they were always going to have their off nights. Frankly, the fact that it took this long was a shocker to me, and I'm not saying that on either of those players, but it's a new pairing. These guys are playing together for the first time. One of them is in a new structure overall. Team itself is not, they're being leaned on very heavily defensively, So it's a shocker it took this long, and they came right back, and I'm really happy to see that, because I thought, with Mike Matheson, as our friends at Locked On Canadians do, there is the meter of Magic Mike to Tragic Mike. And
Yep.
let's just say overall, Tragic Mike has been on some missing posters, which I appreciate. I would rather Tragic Mike stay missing a little bit.
Yeah, and I give so much credit to Mike Matheson for gutting through the last couple of years where he was kind of forced to be Tragic Mike just by the minutes that he was playing, and it kind of looked like that tonight. He was everywhere tonight and took a rough thing at the end there with the shot off the ankle, but very impressive season so far from Mike Matheson. Very interested to see how high that Dobson-Matheson pairing can fly, especially when Caden Gooley comes back and we get a little bit more consistency in the pairings. Vaguely Stats is summoning the ball pit advertisement, so let's do that. And I'm actually going to hang out with Astrid and her fiance coming up a week from now, I guess, a week from Saturday. So I'm going to float the idea with her then of doing a live show straight from the ball pit, because I think it'd be hilarious.
Hell yeah.
All right, folks.
Hell yeah.
Here's the Saint Motel. While you're browsing into Bijou's goth shop, head next door and discover Montreal's most unique selfie studio. Whether you're looking to take some banger pics of your Halloween costume or cosplay, or you want to make some memories with friends, the Saint Motel has you covered. Experience their bombastic decors that are always changing, hop in the ball pit, and take advantage of their extensive and flexible on-site lighting. Head to lesaintmotel.com to book your time in the studio, book private time where you and your friends will be the only ones allowed in, or book the space for an event. The dedicated, caring staff will make sure that you have a good time. I do have one warning for you before you book. If you have kids, they won't want to leave. Whether you're at Le Saint Motel or in Bijou, tell them Game Over sent you. Welcome back to the Game Over Show, Game Over Montreal. I'm here with Kay Imam. My name is Andrew Berkshire. Please click like and please subscribe. It really helps us out. I think Kay might be frozen here on the video feed, which Discord has been giving me problems today. OBS has been giving me problems today. So hopefully we can figure that out. But if we can't, we will figure it out as we go. So I'm going to actually just throw to Kay here quickly while I try to figure this out. But Kay, the chat is demanding that we talk Joe Veleno. Actually, Discord's not picking up your audio either. So I'm going to quickly try to fix that while trying to pull for time here. So Joe Veleno, I think, is like 75% of an NHLer. And I'm not trying to be mean in saying that. I think that it's just like an accurate description of what we've seen from him so far. And I wish that it was more. I do. Because I want to like the guy. He's a local guy. That's always fun. But I'm just not seeing it with this guy at this stage. And I've seen some comments in the chat, like, wouldn't it be better to bring in one of our prospects? Or wouldn't it be better to try somebody else? I think he gets into like decent situations and he thinks like he has a plan that makes sense, but he can't execute it fast enough at the NHL level to be a part of a successful line, at least right now. And I'm all in on trying Jared Davidson, actually. That's the guy that I want to see called up. Like, I want to be a little bit patient with Florian Jacki, but Davidson's having a really hot start in Laval, and I think that his style of play would fit very well with Jake Evans and Josh Anderson. And Marty could just sit them down at the beginning of every game and say, okay, guys, go be assholes.
And all those guys can do it. Those guys can do it.
They can. So thankfully the Discord seems to be fixed now. So you're good, Kay.
I can see myself moving on stream. So hello. No, I think we have to remember Joe Veleno was never supposed to be here. With all love and respect and admiration for a guy who can skate while I can't. He was not supposed to be here. Uh, we have, Sammy Blais, who was in Toronto, Patrick Laine being injured. And then on top of that, we have guys playing bigger minutes than they probably should be. So I get it. I don't think he was made for this, but my issue, I guess, more than anything, is why is Marty making the decisions that he's making? That's my question. Like, what are we he's clearly not happy with the way everything's working out, because he's been shuffling lines despite before this being a winning team, mostly winning, right? He was shuffling lines before that, before they started losing. And now we're seeing him out on the ice in the last few minutes of the game. And we saw him out on the ice quite in the last few minutes a few times at this point. I don't know. Marty doesn't seem to want to play him except when he does, and those are not opportune times. So I don't know what's happening here. What is
Yeah, it's
happening in
very
the football
confusing.
head of yours, Marty?
Yeah, I don't quite understand the decision to throw him out there with a couple minutes left defending a 1-goal lead. Like, Joe Veleno is not the reason why the Canadiens gave up that lead. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the situation. Like, Mike Matheson busting his ankle probably was a lot bigger of a deal.
Mhm.
But when you have a guy who's behind the play, it makes it harder on everybody else.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why Matheson got hit in the ankle there is because he was overextended trying to control things on that side of the ice, which happened to be where Veleno was, where he was behind the play. Like, there's a trickle down effect or a downstream effect of
Mhm.
players being behind. And we've seen that with the Canadiens over the last 3 years, where when one person makes a mistake, there's like a cascade effect with the young players, and it's less bad now. Like we
Yeah.
said today, I think it was a very good defensive game,
Mhm.
but putting Veleno out there at that point in time is a bit of a cell phone.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't
Saltwater
understand.
Think Tank said Mark and St. Louis hot seat. No, we're we're really picking on
Saltwater
like the
think tank
tiniest decision.
is just truly bait used to be believable, and bait is somehow not believable and still baiting me.
Yeah, it's so good. They're trolling really well tonight. They were saying like Suzuki for Strome need a veteran C. I feel like I told him I was gonna throw them in the ball pit. I think we need to make the ball pit a bit of a meme. We should like make a shirt with like skates and like somebody face down in the ball pit, and that's like the punishment for somebody who really pisses us off in the chat. Get in the ball pit. No, they're not. You're not. We're not actually mad though. Don't worry. I love people who come in and just have fun. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That makes the show
Unfortunately, we
fun.
need fun today. We need fun today.
We do need fun because that's what this is all about, right? It's hockey. We don't need to always be upset. Um, yeah. So Veleno, I'm not understanding what the long term goal is. I know that Marty is pretty patient, trying to give players a chance to excel, but I just don't think that he's a fit with what they're trying to do with that fourth line anyway.
Hmm.
There's better fits there. I think you can try something else out, and I don't think he's a big enough piece that they would necessarily be worried about losing him, because if you're in a situation where you have to call somebody up, the Canadiens don't have like a lack. They could call up Joshua Waugh, they could call up Jared Davidson, they could call up Florian Jacquet, they could call up Owen Beck. Like, these are all players who could come in and play on the fourth line tomorrow. Well, Saturday, not tomorrow, because there's no game tomorrow.
Hey, they could play tomorrow too. I'm sure if it was up to Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov, they would be playing a game tomorrow, as they would every single day of the week.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, I wanted to talk about Kirby Dach as well, because
Yes.
Joe Veleno, as much as like, yeah, it's frustrating sometimes to watch him out there. I feel like we're in a really good situation if we're coming into a post game. We're like, oh, the 13th forward is not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
You want to get the best guy there, but still.
Wow, Veleno
All right.
played more than Bolduc today. Interesting.
Choices were
Yep.
made. That's a weird one.
Yep.
That's a really weird, especially because like that Dach line I thought was their best line by far tonight.
I agree. I think the first line had their moments, but overall I would say that line was definitely the one leading the way.
Yeah, and I think that's like the big thing that I would want to talk about with Kirby Doc is he looks back. And it's not the
Mhm.
goal scoring. That's like the nice bonus that's happening right now. It's the whole season leading up to that has been like the expectation should have been that this was an eventuality based on the play that he's been giving us.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
he looks good.
As I've always said, when Kirby Doc looks on and is on, he seems like that guy. When he's on, it looks like why are we having conversations about a 2C? It's just I am scared. And like my name is Kay, I'm 28 and I'm scared, right? Like I just get really worried about that. But so far he's in 12 games, 12, 13, 14 games. Somewhere along that way. I I'm starting to believe. And I'm starting to believe enough to say it out loud. And I'm really happy about that because I think this guy really wants to be here and wants to fill that position.
Yeah. And the confidence is there now, right? And
100%.
a large part of it obviously is this year he has players with him that work. Like sticking him with Patrick Laine injured Patrick Laine last year while Kirby Doc didn't have much confidence. Like that, it was never going to work. But Bolduc works really well. Gallagher, he makes every line work. You know, he's just the ultimate
Ellie just is
facilitator.
Ellie.
Yeah. And Frederick Roulette in the chat says, I repeat, Bolduc, Doc, Demidov. I would be down to see it. I don't think it's necessary to break up the Demidov line right now anyway. I think they're popping along
I
pretty
really
good.
don't want to touch that. I really don't want to touch
No?
that. No.
I
Not that I
would.
don't want to touch that pairing. I don't want to touch the line. And I don't, more importantly, I don't want to touch New Hook and Demidov right now. I
Yeah, they're
think those
developing a
two
little
are
bit of chemistry.
developing enough of a chemistry that I don't want to touch that. But I'm a very
Yeah.
cautious person in general, so hey, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks, right?
Yeah, Alexandre Christian kind of mentions like the leftover line in that situation would be Newhook, Kappen, and Galley. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on Gallagher to make that line function. Like I like
Mhm.
Kapanen and I like Newhook, but I think Demidov does a lot for that line to facilitate those other two guys being involved in offense. Like Newhook is a contributor, not a creator. I'll say,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense. I feel like
Yeah,
there's
I'm
two
not saying
kinds
that
of.
that's gonna be the future of Demidov on this team. I
Oh
do
yeah,
not,
no,
that's not what I'm saying. I think just right now.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, at this point, like Demidov is so good and accelerating his growth so quickly that if Marty St. Louis was like, we're just gonna play him on two lines for a while, I'd be like, yeah, okay,
The Nick
let's try
Suzuki
it out.
special?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, right? If Marty's willing to play Jake Evans out there for like three shifts in a row at the end of a game, we don't need to throw Veleno out there at the end of the
Yeah.
game. Not to circle back when it's unnecessary. But yeah, I think Doc is he looks much more similar to his first season with the Canadiens. And he looks hungry. And he's skating really
Mhm.
well. He looks confident. And I before the season, I was very cautious about how many people were kind of throwing him out as like this is a done deal, and I get it from last year. But man, I didn't expect him to look this good this early.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm just happy for the guy. I think we every time every time he plays, every time it looks like he's reaching his potential, I think that this is really the ideal for the Habs. This is listen, am I saying that I don't think the Habs would, if given the opportunity, jump on a better opportunity for 2C and move Doc to the wing? I'm not I think they do that. I think they would do that. But I think Doc making himself play at this level, this consistently, makes that not an urgent conversation. And it it's not as if right now, this moment, we go into the playoffs. I feel like there isn't a 2C on this team.
Yeah, that's
Just
fair.
very early, very premature, but we can only talk about the games we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, last year they didn't have a 2C either, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's something to consider. Um, I do want to get to Caden Gooley, so we
Mhm.
will switch over to the third period here in a second. But first, I am going to have to delete something quickly that I messed up. So apologies for that. And as we switch over to our third segment, we will talk about our Patreon page, because this whole business thing, this business side of it, is a little bit more difficult than the hockey analysis side of it for all of us, because that's what we're good at. But we're trying to do the other things too, so that we can actually get paid to do this shit. So head on over to our Patreon page. There's a link in our bio. There's a link in the description of this video or of this podcast if you're listening on the podcast version. And if you're able to, throw us a couple bucks. If you're not, you can actually sign up to the Patreon for free. And one thing that I'm going to try out really quickly here is we're going to try to do some hangouts, just like conversational, watch the game together on the Discord. So the Discord link is also in the same spots as all the Patreon links. You can join our Discord for free. And if you join the Patreon as well, we will set you up in the Discord with a role so that you can join us on voice chat as well when we do those. So it's going to be fun. We have lots of cool plans going forward here on the Game Over Network. And Gooley Nation is rising, Kay. Caden Gooley's back on the ice.
I will
And
tell
all the
you, today when I woke up, just as a quick side note, when I woke up, I saw somebody had tagged me in the video of him skating. And that is exactly what I want out of you guys, by the way.
That is the exact energy to bring to Kay's life, is tag her in all the Caden Gooley hype videos. If I ever see stuff on like TikTok, like a Caden Gooley compilation, I'm like, send to Kay. You got to do it. Saltwater Think Tank says, do not encourage Kay to talk about Gooley. It's too late. Gooley Nation is rising. So I did a look at Caden Gooley for Eyes on the Prize, and I just want to talk about it because he's about to come back here, and I feel like because Lane Hudson is so excellent, and uh sorry, and Noah Dobson is like the big addition, and he's so good at like controlling space, and like his vision around the ice is so excellent. We've kind of overlooked how important Caden Gooley is to this team, and it's obvious in terms of the penalty kill, which has been frustrating coming into tonight. They were great tonight, but Gooley is by far the best penalty killer on the Canadiens defense. That's over several seasons. He's like, it's not even close. It's like him, huge gap, Carrier, and then everyone else. It's crazy how much better he is than everybody else. So that's going to be a huge impact for him. But more than that, I wanted to look at, what is Caden Gooley's ceiling? What could he be in an ideal situation? Because we don't talk enough about development, and he's still pretty darn young. So I looked at his first season, 3 seasons and a couple games here, and I looked through Evolving Hockey's metrics and tried to look at where Gooley ranked league-wide when you limit the players in the sample to around the 192 regular defensemen in the NHL per season. So
Okay.
that's 6 defensemen per 32 teams. Each season, I got it down to a sample size of about 199 to 201.
Mhm.
As a rookie, he ranked 148th out of 199 and 161st in goals above replacement and expected goals above replacement. So that would put him as a number 5D or number 60 his rookie season, where he was out
And
there
I'd
against
like
the
to
top competition.
I was gonna say, I would like to remind everybody he was playing first pairing minutes on his rookie
Yeah,
season.
as a 20-year-old. Like, it was
Yeah.
absurd, the situation, on a
Yeah.
terrible team, mind you. Like,
Yeah, that was,
a
yeah.
horrible team. And the first half of the season, horrible coach as well. So, like, very important context for that first season. Now, since then, Caden Gooley in goals above replacement has been 69th out of 201,
Nice.
82nd out of 201, and 79th out of 201.
Wow.
That puts him solidly in all 3 seasons in around number 3 defenseman territory.
Hell yeah.
In expected goals above replacement, he went 79th, 29th, last year, 29th. And then this year, short season, but 102nd. So like down to number 4D, which how much can you put into 9 games? But when you take that same stretch and you combine it all together, because he's been consistently at a high level, other players have high seasons and low seasons, but Gooley's always consistent. Coaches know that you can throw him out there and he'll give you what you expect from Kaiden Guhle. He actually tracks out already as a low end number 2 defenseman in terms of his overall impact on the ice.
Is you don't see that in very flattering angle. I'm frozen at too.
Yeah, it's really frustrating tonight. I don't know why it
Okay,
keeps
I'm back.
freezing.
I'm back. But you don't see that in young defensemen. Everybody says defensemen take longer to develop, which is why I also would argue that there is more to give there in terms of he's not done. Just it's so cool to see a guy this young be able to do this and wonder what it can be even more, because we forget this is like his 3rd year in the league or something like that.
Fourth, yeah, but early fourth.
Crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Like he's going to be really damn incredible. And this is the thing that I'm looking at, because I always try to look at the Canadiens projecting into the future because they're doing this rebuild, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kaiden Guhle already, he's the 67th highest paid defenseman in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He's already better than that. Like by goals above replacement or expected goals above replacement over the last, since 2023 began. If you just look at that sample, according to Evolving Hockey, he's 58th in expected goals above replacement and 63rd in goals above replacement. So he's already above that. He's already a deal.
Insane.
The cap's going up. More players are going to be signed to bigger deals. So his ranking is going to go way down in terms of highest paid. He took a deal to sign here, like everybody else has done so far. The Canadiens are in a really good situation. And on top of how good he is, on top of how good Lane Hudson is, Noah Dobson is, David Reinbacher is still in the wings. Now, health has been an issue. Health's also been an issue for Kaiden Guhle. Like we talked about all the road back for Kirby Dach and how tough that's been. Look at the road that Guhle's had as well. You know, like the laceration on the quadricep last year.
That is crazy.
Like he's had
starting
a rough
the season with his
go.
appendix taken out, like, and you're like, oh, I'm having such a great summer, like coming back, and it's like, oh, by the way. And I think that's like also something that's a little bit understated is how quickly he comes back from those. And I'm not saying in terms of timeline, I'm saying in terms of when he comes back. Like whenever he does come back, I think he slips back into his role pretty easily. And that's hard to do. Ask Kirby Dach, like it's hard to do.
Especially when you're relied upon by the coach and the entire coaching staff to be in a lot of different situations. Like one thing that I noticed with Kaiden Guhle is it's not like he has a single skill where you're like, okay, that's where he's best in the league. That's where he stands out above everybody else. Like, is he the most physical player in the league? No. Is he the best hitter in the league? No. Best shooter? No. Best skater? No. Best passer? No. Best vision? No. But he's above average at like everything, which means that no matter what's happening in the game, the coaching staff's like, yeah, throw him out there. Like you can always trust Kaiden Guhle, and those kinds of players, because they're so consistent, so reliable, so versatile, are like money. Coaches adore those guys. So I just see him as not just a good player who's going to be behind Hudson and Dobson through like the Canadiens Cup window. I see him as a irreplaceable core piece, honestly. Like that's how good I think Kaiden Guhle is.
I agree. And I think he brings something to the core kind of group that is unique in terms of what the defenseman can do. Um, because it's just not. I did want to just state really quickly. Last game when I saw them like got what like 40 shots against, I was like, Caden Gooley would have blocked at least like four to five of those, right? Like just by himself. And I was like, it would have scared everybody because he would have flinched and winced and walked like stumbled off the ice at some point. But that's the kind of thing, right? Like this is a guy who can put his body on the line. I think he's very like good at like I can't remember the term for it, but you know when you poke the puck away with your
Poke
stick, like
check
from a guy? Yes, that exactly. I think he's
or
good at
stick
that.
check even.
Yeah.
He's very good at it.
Yes.
Yeah, but the takeaway with Gooley is who's not excited for this guy to come back. he's such a good player, and I think he adds an emotional level as well. Like he's a guy who gets fired up,
Hmm.
and he's involved all the time.
Hmm.
I am really excited to see him back. I think he's a really important player for the Montreal Canadiens. All right, let's switch over to overtime. So throw your questions in the chat. We forgot to mention Dobeš in the first segment, so we'll circle back on our beautiful crying boy who takes everything so personally. We must love him and his beautiful mattress and his laying modeling that he does on Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, but before we get into the questions, I got to tell you all, guys, if you want to support us, one way that you could do so is head on to the GameOverNetwork.com and pick up one of these guys. This is a shirt designed by Brady Chalice of Game Over Winnipeg, and if you look on the back, he's got even cooler design. Let's see if I can unfold it here. It's really hard to like level things out and remember which side is the right when the camera's reversed. It's like, is this a mirror or is it not? I don't know. But yeah, awesome stuff on the GameOverNetwork.com. Help us out. We try to keep the prices as low as we can, but it really does help us out if you can throw some money our way to support our show. And hey, repping our stuff, you're going to look cool and unique. So yeah, Dobeš crying after the game, his first loss of the season, clearly took it super hard. I don't think tonight is on him whatsoever. I
Hmm.
love how much he cares, but I hope that he doesn't take this too hard because
Yeah.
like
For a goalie.
it's one. It's one. You're okay, Jakub.
It's okay, buddy. And like I think that's honestly it's kind of surprising to me because he seems so like willing. He's such a confident goalie even when he's doing something insane like using his entire body as a goalie stick. You know, like cuz he seems like such a confident player, which I guess is just more lessons for us as fans in that we don't always know what's happening, right? And I hope this is just one of those moments, and we've all been there, where you need a moment to be really miserable and stew in it and move on, right? I think that's one of the good things about Monty. And I talked about this in my last post game that that's something I felt like was missing a little bit in the last little while of his game. Um and I think it's very good to have a guy like Monty, who, by the way, survived mentally through the worst these Canadians teams had to give him. Like we forget how bad that was. It was,
Yep.
and he survived that, right? So this is when I really am glad that we have a guy like Monty there with next to him. You know, I think of that picture that we got after the Washington series where Adobe won his first game in the Bell Center, like, and Monty never got that in the playoffs. And when he
Yeah.
came off the ice, Monty was just there and like had one of those bro hugs, and it was just so sweet to see. I think this is where the vibes of this team really kicks in because we need the good vibes to make our baby boy feel better.
100%. And speaking of good vibes, I'm just looking through the chat here, and the feeling is everyone loves Dobie, and nobody blames him. Like, I think the most people could say like maybe he could have covered the puck faster in the third goal, but like
Which he
that's
will
a
think
tough
about for
play,
the
right?
rest of his life, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it, right? He takes it to heart. I love players who care that much. Like I remember Lars Eller
Yeah.
was like that in the Canadians, and they had him like speak with a sports psychologist because he just took things so hard. I love guys who have a high standard for themselves, but yeah, you gotta shake it off as fast as you can. I'm sure he will, and like you said, it's good that he has Montembeau there to lean on. Denny H says just returning to the stream, probably missed the boat, but Valeno played more than Demidov, Gallagher, and Bolduc tonight. Yeah, Yeah, there was some choices made on
We
that.
already did. Oh man.
It
Oh
was a tough
brother.
one.
Oof.
Weezus says, "Love the shirt, thank you, sir," or madam, or non-binary. Who knows? Uh, let's see what else we got here. Frederick Roulette says he expects more from himself. I like that. Nothing negative about that. Yeah, I agree around Dobesh. It's just about like whether they feel like the weight is too much, right? Like players can get down on themselves. It's weird to think about because us plebs sitting on our couches watching on TV can't imagine somebody who's in the NHL having like a crisis of confidence, but it happens. Like Connor McDavid in the playoffs last year, he didn't shoot for like a large portion of the playoffs because shots weren't going in for him. And he just kept on
LOL.
looking off.
LMAO even. Sorry. I had to.
Yes. But like it happens to the best. The best of the best can get in their own heads and be their own worst enemy. So that part of the game, it does. It's a challenge. It is a real challenge. Romelli has a question. I'll throw it to UK. Xhekaj or Struble once Gouli is back?
Oof. Uh, I my first instinct is to say it was Struble before this game. However, as I say those words out loud, I realize one game cannot decide that. So I would say Struble has a leg up. Leg, I think, is the right. I was gonna say heads up, but that's a different analogy. But Struble has the leg up here. Um, I think it doesn't help Arbor that he just ends up, and it's a complete like different game because this game like Struble took like one very dumb penalty and like another one that was like could have been called, could have not been called, depending on how the refs feel that day. But usually it's Arbor getting in trouble in that way.
Yeah.
Last game with the fight, having to be off the ice. So my long-winded answer to that is I think Struble gets priority, but it's back and forth. I don't think either of them has won it for sure, for real.
Yeah. I think if they're in a situation where they need somebody to jump further up the lineup, they probably will go with Struble because I think his puck skills are just a little bit more advanced than Xhekaj's at this stage. It's one of
I
those
think he
things where
makes better decisions.
yeah, like I think he makes quicker decisions.
Yes,
Is the
that's what
big
it, yeah.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's a thing of like I notice smaller players are a little bit quicker in general. Like the big players turn a little bit slower, right? For the most part, not everybody is Tage Thompson. And I find this year Xhekaj has been a little bit slow on the decision making at times, and it's got him caught on the defensive side of the puck. And Struble's been a little bit more solid in that regard. But yeah, I can't imagine like I don't think Xhekaj is that guy, but as a guy who's constantly not punished, but like sometimes sat for taking too many penalties or bad penalties, I can't imagine he was not looking at Struble a little bit like, but
Yeah.
like he did it. Like his turn now, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't
No,
me, Marty.
I think that's also kind of says something is that Marty is much more willing to bench Arbor over Struble. So that's a factor in decision making, I guess. But I I do think that how do I want to say this? I think fans need to be a little bit more normal about Arbor Jacki versus Jaden Struble. That's
Can't be
that's
done.
my take on it. We should try to be a little bit more normal, guys. I think Arbor Jacki, when he's not playing well, doesn't deserve to play. When Jaden Struble is playing better, he deserves to play. And when Jaden Struble isn't playing well, other way around, right?
Yeah.
Marty is harder on Jacki, but that's because it took a lot more to get him where he is. I think Marty feels like if he's not this consistently hard on Arbor, it'll slip real fast. I think that's his theory. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's how he feels.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal a couple ideas from the chat and mash them together. I don't remember who had the first one, but when Goulie's back, run 7D, but not quite 7D, throw Jacki on the fourth line and just tell him to make a mess, cause chaos, and then you can just double shift Demidov when you need to.
Oh my God, can you imagine a Anderson Jack guy like a line that has both of those freaks on it?
Oh
And then
God.
Evans, who's more than willing to muck it up more than he gets credit for it. Oh my God, that line would have woof. Woof.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, just trying to see here. Yeah, you take Veleno out, Romelli. Xhaka on the fourth line instead of Veleno. Yeah, exactly. What else we got here? Somebody saying we could do Goalie Carrier as a shutdown pair. I mean, they did that in the playoffs and it worked pretty well, right? It was kind of like a sacrificial pairing.
That's actually odd
It
because
does work.
if I recall correctly, they did also do Hudson and Gooley. So that was, I don't know
Hmm.
when that change was made, but I do remember thinking that worked for the first time. Like, and that's not fair. They have worked in the past, but they were just having a bit of a rough during the season. Yeah, I think that's the question is like, what would the pairings be at that point? Because coming into the season, I was so confident with my Gooley Dobson answer, and I am just not comfortable breaking those two up, like Matheson and Dobson at this point. I just don't think you can justify it. So that is the question. Correct. That is indeed the question.
Yeah, Outrage raises a good point. It says I like the position we're in. I think Arbor and Strubs are both going to be better players at the end of it. Yeah, they both have like very like they're in similar positions, but they have different roles, right? Like I think Xhaka is the one the Canadians are more invested in long term,
Yeah.
and Struble is probably the overall better player at this specific moment. But also Struble has like stretches where he goes up and down. Like we've
Yeah.
seen where he's had brilliant stretches, like 20 games, and then he has like 10 where he's struggling a little bit. Moose says, imagine a Jackeye winger pair, and
Oof.
Denny Heldon says, imagine the defenseman when they dump the puck in, just like Evans lobbing the puck into the corner, and you've got two Jackeyes bearing down on you.
That's
That's
insane.
that's
Truly,
fear.
exactly. And that's what you need out of your fourth line, which, side note, but I think have looked a lot more. And again, I said, or Joe Veleno, but oh my God, there was this moment on the broadcast where they were like, Evans and Anderson are doing, and they were like talking about the good things, and they were like, yeah, and it's Evans, Anderson, and the fourth line winger. And I was like, oh no, oh
Since
no.
Evans and the fourth liner, the guy who's there with them. I mean, accurate.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah, brought that up just before or just after you said it. He's like, "Oh yeah, oops." Yeah, it's so good. All right, let's end it there for tonight. Montreal MUFC says that moving Jack to the fourth line might work. This is what the Blackhawks did with Dustin Byfuglien before they figured out he could be a real menace. And I think Frederick Ouellette said earlier, like MSL will never try that, and I probably agree. We're just kind of having fun here with ideas that could be tried, but
But Marty,
I
what if
think
he did? What if he
yeah,
does?
what have you tried, Marty? I mean, listen, Scotty Bowman used to run power plays where he would put Savard, I think it was Savard
Yeah,
and Robinson at forward.
yeah,
And like the first couple seconds of the power play, those two would just like body people and create space. And then they would kind of shift the structure up. Like go back and watch those games from the 70s and watch some of the weird things that Scotty Bowman tried out as head coach. Coaches that experiment are usually the best ones. And I find Marty is willing to experiment more than people give him credit for. He has some old school thoughts, but he's not fully old school. All right, should we end it there?
yes.
All right. Have a great time tonight, folks. Have a good sleep. Habs didn't win, but they'll hopefully win the next one on Saturday against the Utah Mammoth.
Hmm.
You know, the legendary team we're all excited to watch. However, good reason to tune into Game Over Montreal. The Locked On Canadians friends will be there with me. Both Laura and Ian
Hell
will be
yeah,
on Game Over Montreal on Saturday night. We're going to have a great time. So
hell
tune in
yeah.
then.
I'm
Okay?
gonna miss that, but I'm gonna
That's
enjoy
okay.
it. I'll be in the chat. I'll be in the chat. Don't worry about
There you
me.
go. All right. Have a good one, Kay, and have a good one, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, watching with us. We love you. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye. Mwah.